So, have you ever wondered what a 600 million euro crypto scam actually looks like from the inside? Well, today, we're going to pull apart a massive international bust that took down a seriously sophisticated criminal network. But this isn't just about the crime itself. It's really about what we can all learn from it to keep our own digital assets safe. So let's get into it.
It almost always starts with something like this, doesn't it? A simple, really seductive message. Maybe it's a DM on social media or an email that just appears out of nowhere. The promise is always the same: unbelievable returns with practically zero risk. It is the perfect hook, designed to prey on our biggest hopes and our fear of missing out.
And that's the big question, right? That's the dilemma. The charts they send you look so legitimate. The first tiny returns they let you withdraw seem to prove it's for real. And you start thinking, man, what if this is it? What if this is my shot? But behind that shiny promise, a really sophisticated trap is being laid.
And this is what was at stake: 600 million euros. That's the absolutely staggering amount this one single network managed to siphon away from thousands of victims. All people who thought they'd finally found that golden opportunity. It's a number that shows you how truly devastating these traps can be.
Now, as absolutely massive as that bust was, believe it or not, it's just one piece of a much, much bigger global problem. The numbers, while they paint a very clear and honestly a very alarming picture of what's become a full-blown epidemic in the crypto world.
Yeah, the data here is pretty stark. Just in the first half of 2025 alone, a mind-boggling $3.1 billion was lost to these schemes. The US is a huge target, making up nearly a quarter of all cases. And here's the real kicker. Over half of these scams kick off on social media. That makes it the #1 hunting ground for these criminals.
One of the most cruel and, frankly, effective tactics has a really brutal name. It's called pig butchering, and the method is just as brutal as it sounds. Scammers will spend weeks, sometimes even months, building a personal connection with you. A lot of times it's a fake romance. They're trying to gain your absolute trust, to fatten you up with faking advice and small, phony gains before they convince you to go all in. And then, poof, they vanish.
But look, this is not just a story about victims and losses. It is also a story of justice. Law enforcement is getting smarter, they're adapting, and they are fighting back. So let's take a look at exactly how this huge network was finally brought down.
It all started with just one person. A single victim in Spain reported some suspicious activity. And that one single report, it sparked this massive international response. You had Eurojust and Europol, basically Europe's top law enforcement agencies, joining forces. It all led to these perfectly coordinated dawn raids across 3 different countries on November 4th. It's just a powerful example of what can happen when everyone works together.
And the results? They were real. They were tangible. We're not just talking about some frozen digital wallets here. The authorities seized millions in cold, hard cash. They took luxury cars. They got their hands on the servers, which were just humming with victim data. They even uncovered what they called a mule farm in Cyprus, a whole operation dedicated to using networks of people to launder the stolen money and make it disappear.
So how on earth did they actually pull it off? Look, to protect ourselves, we have to understand their exact methods. So let's crack open the scammer's playbook and break it down into 3 simple steps. It's a pretty simple process, but it is brutally effective. First, they lure you in with that unsolicited message. Then, they hook you. This is where they use a fake investment platform that looks incredibly real, complete with a dashboard showing your money growing every day. And once you've put in a serious amount of cash, they vanish. They block your account, and they use sophisticated tools like crypto mixers to make the funds totally untraceable.
Okay, so this is absolutely crucial, learning to spot the fake from the real. A scam platform, it's often going to have a URL that's just slightly off, or they'll pressure you, saying it's a limited time offer and you have to act now. A legitimate exchange, on the other hand, will always have an official, secure URL, and they'll have a standard and often really tedious identity verification process. Remember, no real advisor is ever going to rush you into a decision.
Now, beyond just the fake platforms, there are several other really common traps that scammers just love to use. Knowing what these look like is pretty much your first line of defense.
So, like we saw earlier, social media is by far the biggest danger zone. It's the starting point for more than half of all crypto scams.
And if we look even closer, we see that while platforms like Facebook and Instagram are big, Telegram is a massive hotspot. It accounts for about 40% of those social media schemes. Why? While its relative anonymity makes it the perfect place for criminals to hunt.
All right, here are 4 major traps to keep on your radar. We've talked about the awful pig butchering scams. Then you've got the fake celebrity giveaways you see all over social media. No, a famous billionaire is not going to send you 2 Bitcoin back if you send them 1. In the DeFi space, you got to watch out for rug pulls, where the developers just abandon a project and run away with everyone's money. And maybe the cruelest of all are the recovery scams, where criminals target people who've already been scammed, promising to get their money back, for a fee, of course.
Okay, that's enough about the criminals. Let's talk about you. How can you build a digital fortress around your assets? Let's dive into your personal protection plan.
First things first, you have to be absolutely ruthless when you're vetting any platform. Check official regulator lists, like the SEC in the US or the FCA in the UK. Second, a super simple rule. Ignore all unsolicited investment offers. Just block and delete. Third, do your own research. Read the white paper, find out who's on the team. And finally, turn on the strongest security you can get, like an app-based multi-factor authentication, not SMS texts, which can be easily intercepted.
But look, if you only remember one single thing from this entire explainer, please let it be this. Never, ever, ever share your private keys or your seed phrase. Not with anyone, not for any reason. Think of them as the master key to your entire crypto life. You have to guard them with everything you've got.
For next-level security, get a hardware wallet. It keeps your assets completely offline, far away from hackers. And when you're trying a new platform, always test it out with a tiny amount first. And, just as important, try to make a withdrawal. Learn to spot the hype. Promises of 100x returns are almost always a trap. And if the worst does happen, report it. Your report could be the one that helps authorities build a case and stop someone else from becoming a victim.
So, where does all this leave us? Well, the battle between scammers and security experts is constantly changing. It's always evolving. Let's take a quick look at what might be coming next. Okay, the hard truth is, this problem is still getting bigger. Global losses are projected to jump from around 4.6 billion in 2024 to nearly 7 billion in 2025. A huge reason for this is that scammers are getting smarter too. They're using AI now to create way more convincing deepfakes and personalized phishing attacks, and they're moving at a pretty alarming speed.
But there is hope. And this is the other side of the story. Justice is adapting too. Law enforcement is now using powerful AI analytics to trace stolen funds. Global task forces are working together better than ever before. And new, big regulations, like the EU's MiCA framework for crypto, are finally starting to close the loopholes that criminals have been exploiting for years.
Which brings us right to our final thought. People always call the world of crypto the digital Wild West, right? A jungle filled with both incredible opportunity and incredible danger. And while the regulators and the police are building fences, in the end, your greatest protection, it's always going to be what you know. So in this crypto jungle, is knowledge truly your only shield? That just might be.